Hello, beautiful creatives. I got a little over ambitious in this week's video. What I thought I was going to do was just top off some paints in my art toolkit palette. Just top off a couple of paints. But as you will see in the video, what I ended up doing was completely refreshing my palette. I took all of the pans out. I cleaned and oiled the magnet underneath. I refilled almost all of the palettes. I changed colors out. I had no idea I was going to be doing such a deep dive, but I changed a bunch of the colors out, kind of change things up a little bit, put in some colors that I hadn't had in my palette before. I also share with you some gouache artwork that I've been doing in my art nest, in my sketchbook at night. And this artwork actually helped me rediscover some metallic markers. I reviewed these for you guys a long time ago, but I never really used them that much. And I love these. These are the super golden markers. I think Lightwish sent these to me. And to be honest with you, I turned down so many requests from companies for me to review products. I get tons of like acrylic marker requests from different companies, and how many acrylic markers do you need, So I usually turn those down. I've been turning down a lot of stuff, but for some reason, I said yes to these, and I'm so glad I did. These are so metallic and so nice. So I'll show you some work I did with these. I thought I was going to review a new set of watercolors that Paul Rubens sent me. They actually sent me two, and I thought that I was going to get at least one of these swatched out for you guys. Didn't happen. These two are going to come in a future video. I completely ran out of time because I did such a deep dive on the art toolkit. And then when I finally decided what I was going to have in my toolkit, I swatched it out for you. So, if you're at all interested, and I show you the secret ingredient, which is not so secret because I've done a ton of videos on it, that I use to keep my gouache from cracking and falling out of my palette. It keeps it super nice and really happy. So I show you that. I show you how much I mix in with each palette that I put in here, each little tray. Yeah, so it's a lot. So if you are interested in seeing a complete refresh on my art toolkit palette and what I put in it, some gouache paintings that I've done of some lovely ladies in my art nest, some swatching, some gouache swatching and palette layout, then you will love this video. So come on along and let's jump right into the video. I've been using my dry gouache palette in my art nest to do these paintings every night. So, and it's fun. I enjoy doing it. I just kind of miss being in the studio a little bit. So I'm running out of a couple of colors. So I think what I'm going to do is refill some of the colors that I'm running out of. I got to remember to add blending medium to them so they don't crack too bad. I probably should clean, colors are really polluted. I probably should clean the colors up a little bit first before I add colors to them. So maybe I'll do that and then cap these colors off. Yeah, I think I'll do that. I haven't finished this one yet. I was thinking I might come up here and finish this one. But we'll see. We'll see what kind of time I have and what kind of energy I have. Okay, so this is my art toolkit palette. And I've shown this in lots of videos. I have a coupon code for art toolkit products below my video, as well as a coupon code for Meeden and Senex Gouache, if you ever decide you want to buy those products. Let's see, I need a squeezer for the blending medium. I have, black is one of the colors I want to refill. My M Graham burst. My M Graham black burst in the draw. I've never had that happen before. And every time I break off the burst pieces, it bursts again. So I don't know why that happened, but I'm going to try to squeeze this into this without making too big a mess. And hopefully it's not just going to blow out the back end. Let's see. Oh, and hopefully it's not going to be a bunch of binder. Doesn't look too binderish. Binderish? Let's see if I can get this. Oh, that might be too much. I might not have left enough room for blending medium. Those little tiny pans are so little, the little square ones. Okay, let's see what we can do here because there's a lot of black. It's funny, black is a color I never used to put in my palettes. But boy, I do use black now. I use it for mixing greens. I use it for dulling down colors as well as complementary colors for dulling down. But I don't know, sometimes there's just no substitute for a good black. Thank you guys, all you guys who commented on last week's video. Oh my gosh. Interestingly, I had so many positive comments on it, a lot of really beautiful comments that you enjoyed seeing the scenery and that you enjoyed the video. But in the YouTube algorithm, it ranked like 9 out of 10. So it ranked like the second worst out of all my videos. So I don't know. Sometimes it's so hard to figure out the YouTube algorithm. It can drive you crazy. It really can. All right, I'm just going to put like 1 drop maybe because this is such a small. I'll put 2. And hopefully I don't knock this jar over. Okay, so 2 drops. Mix that in. I wonder what would happen if I broke these off again. Let's see, that's all binder. It was binder that squeezed out. I wonder, this might be a huge mistake, but what would happen if I grabbed it towards the bottom and pushed it up? Kind of pinched it closed down there. I have done this with M-gram tubes before where this actually got so weak after a number of times that it broke the bottom of the tube off. So I have a feeling when I open that next time, a lot of black is going to come out. But I think I'll still keep it in the plastic bag just because I would hate for that whole tube to dry out and lose it. I don't want to lose a whole tube of M-gram because it's expensive. This is Payne's Gray watercolor because they don't make a Payne's Gray gouache. So that's going to be the next one that I'm going to put in. Grab my trusty pliers. And here we go. Payne's Gray. I might wish I had, I'm sure I'm going to wish I had a larger pan for Payne's Gray because, yeah, you know, I probably should think about getting rid of one of these greens and doing a larger pan of Payne's Gray because Payne's Gray is like a color I use a lot. It's just going to be hard to decide which green to get rid of because I am using all 3 of those greens. What I was doing before I had my Payne's Gray in here was I was mixing my ultramarine with black to sort of create a faux Payne's Gray. All right, like I said before, I probably should clean some of these dirty ones up. Like this white is really dirty. I should clean that up with a brush. I want to get like kind of a stiff brush before I do my white because it is very dirty. Very, very, very dirty. Originally, I had 2 containers of white, this size. I had 2 squares here, and one was supposed to remain my clean white, and one was the white that I used for mixing. And it just didn't make sense after a while because they were both always getting dirty. I wasn't obeying my own rules. Now I'm gonna have to guess at what greens I have in here. I don't quite remember. I could look it up in my swatch book if I ended up swatching this out. Now I know I made a video for you guys when I filled this originally. I just don't remember. Hopefully I'm not going to get a ton of binder because M. Graham can do that sometimes. I think I'm going to squeeze some of this out on a paper towel first. Oh yeah, M. Graham can be bindery because it seems to be so loose at the top. I'm going to take a Q-tip, toothpick, see if I can mix it in down there a little bit. Now, in M. Graham's defense, these are older tubes, so they get a little bit of separation. All right, let's go with some white. See how that does. Get some Winsor & Newton blending medium in there. Put 3 drops in that one. Now that the fresh white is on there, you can see how dirty the bottom layer still is, but that's okay. That's why it's good to be an expressionist and intuitive artist, because nothing has to be perfect. The more expressive, the better. Paul Rubens sent me 2 new sets of watercolors to review. One is a student grade, an academy grade, that they've asked me to wait to review till November. So this one I will be doing in November. I got to figure out how to pronounce it. It's Q-I-C-A-I-H-U-I. So I'll figure out how to pronounce that. And this one is Paul Rubens' professional floral set. So this is going to be fun. So maybe I'll end up doing that in this video. We'll see how time goes, because that would be fun. And then maybe I could do one of my paintings. I mean, it's a floral set, but maybe I could do one of my girls, like a floral themed one. That might be fun. So we'll see how time goes for that. But I guess what I'll do is just carry on doing this, and I probably won't bore you with all of it because I'm going to have to clean off each one of these, and I don't know if I'm going to top them all off. I think these 2 were Senex. I think quite a few of these actually are Senex. I think this might be a Senex color, this yellow ochre. I think that one is a Holbein, that peachy color. These 2 colors are, I can never read the brand on these. These were something that I got off of Amazon. These actually might have been a gift that somebody gave me from Amazon. I think there were 4 of them. There's 2 pink colors. This one's peach, this one is baby pink, this one is lime green, and this one is evergreen. So that's probably the baby pink, that one. Doesn't look like I used the peach, although this time around I'm wondering if I'd like to use the peach instead. Ooh, is that color? No, it's not. I like that color though. I'm thinking I might like that instead of the pink, but where would I put it? I'd have to replace a tray. I might actually replace the pink tray with this peach. if I have another square. And I think I do have another square put away somewhere. I'll have to dig that out. This is ending up being a little bit more of a project than I thought it was because I didn't realize I was going to be changing colors. But that peach is pretty. So I'm going to keep that out instead of the pink. This is the lime green one, I think. And I don't think I used the evergreen. Ooh, that's dark. Let me see what that looks like on paper. Do I have a piece of paper here? A little scrap paper here. Oh, a lot of binder. Oh, wow, isn't that interesting? The binder made it look very dark. Oh, I love that color too. What would I replace? Getting tricky. Would I replace the lime green with that green? It's like a blue green. Okay, this is going to take longer than I thought. I think what I'll do is I'll go ahead and clean these all out, top off what I'm going to top off, make my decisions about replacing them, and come back and show you what I've got when it's done. I cannot find where I swatched this out. I could take the time to look back through my old YouTube videos to see if I actually filmed, but I can't find in my swatch book. And when I think back about it, I'm pretty sure I swatched this on a piece of scrap paper or in another sketchbook. And I think I remember telling you guys I was going to go back and swatch it in here. I just don't have time to go through all my old sketchbooks over the past year to figure out what I put in this one. You know, I'm pretty sure like this is ash blue, ash green, ultramarine blue. This is probably cerulean blue. You know, the greens I can probably figure out because what I did find was this was my wet palette that I had set up. This was all Holbein colors. I think I can figure it out. It's just going to take me a little longer than I thought, which is a bummer. But I am going to switch this one out, which this is probably the Jaune Brilliant. Yeah. So that's that. I'm going to switch that out for this color. And I can never read the name of this brand. I think it's something like Simi, S-I-M-I. Their brand name is very hard to read, but I think that's what it is, Simi. And you can get these on Amazon. I'll put a link below the video. I always have links below the video on videos on where you can get things. I mean, on the rare occasion that I'm running out of time, I may forget, but I think I almost always. And then I always have my Amazon favorites link below the video. So that Amazon shop has just about everything in it. There's a couple of things that may, you know, be delayed in my getting them in there, but there is so much stuff in my Amazon favorite shop. So what I do have another palette that I want to set up at some point, another Art Toolkit palette. I bought this during their second sale. And I think the reason this one was a seconds is it's a little hard to open. Yeah, there we go. Little hard to open, but it's perfect other than that. I might even be able to have Dawn bend it a little bit so that it's not so hard to open. But I could fill that up one of these days so that I have a bigger gouache selection. I was thinking originally I was going to do a big watercolor palette, but I have my small Art Toolkit watercolor palette, so I don't know. But okay, I'm going to grab one of these size and a couple of the squares, the small squares. Is that how I want to do it? I'm doing so many faces now, and I can see this being a really great portrait color mixed with white, so I'm just going to go for it. I think I'm going to try to set it in because I've just had better luck doing it that way than I have trying to fill them and then pop them in afterwards. And I'm gonna have to add blending medium to this. So I want to leave a little bit of room for mixing, which I tend to not be good at. Okay, so that is that. I really should make a swatch sheet for this. Ay, ay, ay. I really should. Am I going to do that? I don't know. I think I'll put 2 drops into this one. Two drops of the Winsor Newton blending medium. I've got this, which is a color, as you can see, it's worn way down, and it's a color I use a lot. It's a great color, really is. Just put a lot of water in there. Okay, there's that. But can I get that with this? Because this is a brighter color, and even though I haven't used it as much as the darker color, I'm starting to use it more. They're very similar colors, so I'm wondering if I do that and just add a tiny dab of Payne's Gray, can I get the same color? I think I can. And because my Payne's Gray is wet, that tiny dab turned into a big dab. But I think I can get definitely close enough. Absolutely. So this can replace that just with a little bit of color mixing. So I am going to pop this one out. There we go. Okay, there's 2. Do I want to try 2 small containers to experiment with new colors like this color, the Sumi Evergreen, or is this Sumi Evergreen too similar to, like this Ash Green from Winsor and Newton, or Holbein. Is it too similar? It's kind of close. Like, what if I take that and add white? This white is wet, obviously. Oh, it's quite different. It is quite different. What if I do that and add a little bit of the ash blue? Can I mix that color? Similar. Oh, very similar. Huh. It is very similar by mixing the ash green, the ash blue, and white. Let me just take one more poke at this and just see what I think. Because I do really love this color. A lot of binder on the top of this. I do love this color. Yeah. Okay, so I think I am going to go with this color. But am I going to go with it in a small container just to test it out, or a big container? And if I go with it in a small container, that leaves me one more small container to play with. So I think I'm going to do that. I don't know if I'm going to have time to do the swatching on the watercolors, because this is taking longer than I thought. Okay, here goes. Should I stick it in place? What I should have done, hindsight, I should have gotten Q-tips and cleaned off and oiled my magnets, because now that I'm doing this, I can see that my magnets are quite dirty. And to condition them, it's good to oil them once in a while. I think what I'll do when this is all dry is pop these out and coat this with some oil. I'll grab some coconut oil, pop it in there. Can't hurt. Eventually I'll do the whole thing. Okay, so this is making a mess. Just do it. Go for it. Be brave. Whoa. Wow. Runny. Runny, runny, runny. Maybe I didn't mix it enough. It might still be a ton of binder, which makes me wonder how that's going to dry. Put 1 drop of blending medium in there, which is going to make it even more watery, so it scares me a little bit. These pastel colors are so pretty, though. This was way more work than I thought it was going to be, but I did get the palette refreshed. Because I had used so many different brands of paint originally. I had used M. Graham gouache, whole bean gouache, Senex gouache, the Sunni or whatever it is. So it was a little, and I couldn't find my original list. So it was my original palette map. So I couldn't quite remember. So it took me a while to put it all back together, but I finally figured it out because I used different brands to refill some of them. The colors are a little different, so that should be interesting. But this time I made a list of the colors and I'm going to do a swatch sheet. So, wow, that was way more work than I thought it was going to be. But there is my topped off palette and I'm going to let it dry and then I will continue working in my art nest with it. But for now, right now, I have got to pick this mess up and clean up some brushes and stuff. I was just about to make out a swatching sheet to put some boxes here. I've got my list of colors there. I did realize there's one more color that I want to add. I had 2 yellows side by side because the goal was to keep one yellow clean to use as yellow and to have the other yellow be like a mixing yellow and have it get muddied up. It just never really worked that way. So I took the extra yellow out and I think what I'm going to do is add Naples yellow in. I haven't had Naples yellow on my palette in a long time. I think since I'm doing more portraits, I just think I'm going to play around with adding that color back in. So I thought while I'm doing all of this palette refresh, I have not oiled my palette. I have not cleaned it or oiled it in a very long time. So I took everything out and laid it out here the way that it goes in my palette. And I'm going to clean this up really good. And I'm going to oil my magnet. And if I need to, on some of these, I'll clean off the bottom because it gets a little rusty. So I'm going to clean this all up, oil it, and clean the bottom of these up, put them back, and mark out my spots for swatching, and then I will come back. This ended up being a lot more involved than I thought it was going to be, but it's going to be really nice in the end to have this all cleaned up and freshened up. Okay, so I cleaned my magnet and oiled it with my coconut oil. I kind of conditioned it and really cleaned up a lot of those rust marks and paint marks that were on there. But before I start loading my paint palettes back in, there's one more hack I did that I want to show you on this palette. And that is, this is a skewer. Just, you know, a wooden skewer that I chopped the end off of. And I stick that in this little lip. And that keeps my pans from riding all the way in underneath that lip, which would make these little pans especially really hard to access. And it would make the paint along the edges of these hard to access. So that is my tip for that. Just stick a little bit of a skewer in there and your paint pans won't sink in all the way. And that works really great. And the paint pans, once they're on the magnet, they keep that all in place. So now I'm going to clean up the bottoms of the pans, which do have a little bit of rust on them. And I want to clean that off before I put them back. And then I'm going to get started. Then I'll fill my Naples yellow pan. And I will get started on laying out my swatch sheet. So before I do the swatching on this, which I will probably run high speed so the video doesn't get too long, I just wanted to tell you what I did. So another tip for these is if you take a magic eraser, just a plain magic eraser, you can clean your mixing area. These can get pretty stained up, but I find that the magic eraser really cleans these beautiful. It looks like brand new. So that is a really good tip to do with that. So what I did was I took everything out. I have coconut oil in here, and I went through and really cleaned the magnet. There was a lot of rust on there, a lot of paint that had accumulated on there. So cleaned it off really well, dried it, and put a good layer of coconut oil on there and let it rub in. Now, I don't know if coconut oil is actually what Art Toolkit recommends. I didn't realize I was going to do such a deep dive on this palette today. Otherwise, I would have looked into it. But what I did then was before I put each of my pans back, I cleaned off all of this paint that had accumulated on the sides of the pans and cleaned off all the rust and paint that had accumulated on the bottom of the pans. And I got to tell you, I was surprised how much rust was under there. So it really is good to do this maintenance with the oil on your magnets and clean the bottoms of your pans off once in a while. I mean, I've had this for a few years and I haven't done it, but it was definitely high time that I did it. And then I filled this one with the Naples Yellow Italian. I really wished I had had a different Naples Yellow. I had a different one in mind than the Italian, but that's fine. It's a great color. It'll work fine. And that's it, I think. Just a reminder that I did add the Winsor & Newton blending medium to all of them on the tiniest pans. I used a drop on the little tiny square ones. On the medium ones, I used 2 to 3 drops. And on the big one, I don't know, but I probably used four drops on that. And this was the other day, so all of them are dry except for the one that I just poured. And you can see they have a little bit of a shine to them, and that's how I can know that I added the blending medium to them. Although some of these more matte colors don't have a shine. Yes, they don't all seem to shine. Maybe it depends on how much blending medium I added to each one. But because of the blending medium, they don't crack as bad. And even when they do crack, they don't fall out. They don't crack apart and fall out. The blending medium for me has been a game changer. Otherwise, the pieces of them fall out. I've just had so many fails without using the blending medium. So that is, those are the tips, and they really are helpful ones. Oh, and then the other one was putting the skewer, cutting a wooden skewer and putting it down in this part so that your pans don't stick in so far. So those are really great tips. I hope you find them helpful. And now I am going to swatch these out so that this time I have a record of the changes I made, because last year apparently I didn't do that and I ended up in a bit of a pickle because I couldn't figure out what some of the colors were to refill them. So let's get swatching. Okay, so there are my final colors for this palette, for my dry gouache palette. Okay. And they are Permanent Yellow, which is a Holbein. Yellow Ochre, which is a Senex. Gamboge, which is an M-gram. Peach, which is a Suni. Naples Yellow Italian. Titan Buff, which is an M-gram watercolor, but it's actually a gouache. It's opaque. White, it's M-gram. Orange, Holbein. So this is Rose and Opera Pink. Those are both Holbein colors. Cad Red Light Hue, M-gram. Quin Rose, M-gram. Primary Magenta, Holbein. Quin Violet, M-gram. Pink, Suni. Evergreen, Suni. Lime, Suni, which I accidentally ended up pouring 2 of those. Ultramarine Blue, Cerulean Blue. Those are Ultramarine M-gram, Cerulean M-gram. Aqua Blue is Holbein. Ash Blue, Holbein. Ash Green, Holbein. 2 of my favorite colors. Turquoise Green is Holbein. Moss Green is Holbein. And Sap Green is M-gram. Burnt Sienna, M-gram. Burnt Umber, M-gram. Payne's Gray, which is an M-gram watercolor. Ivory Black, which is M-gram. So those are the color choices that I did. And we'll see how it works out. I always look forward to playing around with a new assortment of colors when I redo my palette, and I'm really pleased with how well this cleaned up. It looks brand new. It looks gorgeous. So there is my Art Toolkit palette refresh. And then lastly, I think what I will show you is I did end up finishing this girl last night. And what I ended up finishing her off with was with these metallic markers. And some of you might remember when I did a review of these. I don't usually accept acrylic marker offers from other companies. I don't know what made me accept this one, but these are called Super Golden Markers. And they're gorgeous. They have tiny, tiny tips. You can get a really fine line with these. Really strongly pigmented, and they have a really great shimmer to them. So yeah, if you want to look back at that video, I'll try to remember to put a link below, but yeah, they have a fabulous shimmer to them. I don't know if it'll be showing up in the video, but I think it's going to show a little bit there. Anyways, so yes, I finished her, and this was a white Posca. The flowers were those super golden markers. And the gold around the birds is the super golden markers. Around her halo and her necklace and around her collar here are all the super golden markers. So, and the rest of this was done with my gouache palette, my dry gouache palette. So I just love, love, love working with that palette in my art nest. It's become my absolute favorite thing to work with in my art nest. I mean, this was the same thing, the dry gouache palette. This was actually a Derwent Inktense pencil, the China gray, I think it's called, and gesso, which is another really fun way to work. But anyways, there are my girls, and yeah, I really, really, really enjoy working with a dry gouache palette, and you do not have to worry about mold. I've never had it mold. I mean, I do use it frequently, but I have never had a problem with molding. So, also because reviving this palette took so long, I did not get a chance to unbox, review, and swatch this Paul Rubens floral set. So that's something that we can do next week. I'm like really excited to see this set. There's new colors in this set. I'll get into that next week. There's some repeat colors, but there's a lot of new colors. It's 24 vivid floral colors. So we'll swatch this out, unbox it and swatch it in next week's video. And then coming in later in November, we have this student grade set to explore. And this is in a really beautiful, I think this is in a tin that matches this box. So I can't wait to unbox that and see it. So that will be coming in a future video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed seeing this palette refresh. If you did, I would really love it if you gave the video a thumbs up. Subscribe if you'd like to see more of my videos. And I will see you in the next video. Have a really great creative week. I hope you are doing well. And get out some art supplies and play around this week. Okay, guys. Bye-bye.